Well, thanks for joining us tonight. We promise you that you will leave here having a different outlook on your health and the health of your families for the rest of your lives. We like to start this class off with a fun little fact. 90% of patients that come into this office or a chiropractic office will have improvement in some other aspect of their health that they thought was unrelated to the condition they first came in for. Or I'll say that again. 90% of patients that come into a chiropractor's office will have improvement in some other aspect of their health that they thought was unrelated to the condition they first came in for. So why is that? Pretty big question, right? Well, that's what you're here to find out about tonight. So what is true health? There's a question for you. Think about that for a second. Is true health being able to get out of bed without any pain? Is it being symptom-free? Because the definition of true health is not merely the absence of sickness or disease. It's much more than that. So in this office, we will continually discuss about 3 aspects of health that we think are very important. Number 1 is eating well. Number 2 is thinking well. And the third is moving well. Those 3 aspects of health combined, we feel if you follow those well, your health index will continue to go in this direction, and you will be as healthy as you'd like to be for as long as you'd like to be. And that's all of our goals, right? So let me give you a little story about a patient of ours. She probably came in here about a year ago, and about a year previous to coming into our office, she had been in a minor car accident. Nothing serious, just a minor fender bender, no hospitalization. Except a few months after her accident, she began to develop some headaches. Okay, that's pretty common here in the Northeast. So she goes to her medical doctor, and the medical doctor checks her out, prescribes her a medication for your headaches. So long as she's taking the medication, again, her symptoms resolve. Until a few months later, she begins to develop some stomach disturbances. Okay, and again, in the Northeast, pretty common symptom. Okay, run and go all the time, eating on the run. And she goes back to her medical doctor, and the medical doctor prescribes her a second medication. The thing he doesn't tell her is that, well, one of the side effects to headache medication can be stomach disturbances. Now, so long as she's on both medications, again, her symptoms resolve. Until a few months later, she goes back for her yearly checkup. She gets some blood work done, and her liver enzymes are off the charts. Okay, because those medications have to clear through the liver. So the medical doctor puts her on a third medication now. So long as she's on all 3 medications, again, her symptoms resolve. Until she is on those for a few months, and she begins to develop headaches again. Because one of the side effects to the liver medication was headaches. And you can see how this can continue to be an ongoing thing. And we know that the people on the most medications, they're not the healthiest, right? They're the sickest most of the time. And here at this office, we are absolutely not against the medical profession. Medical profession saves a lot of lives and it does a lot of good. But at this office, we want to encourage you and get you to a point where you can start to take more responsibility for your own health. Okay? We're much more worried about getting to the root of your problem and solving the problem and letting the symptoms take care of themselves. So thanks for joining us tonight. I'm going to pass it off to Dr. Eigenman.
I have a little test to give you, and it's up here on the board. Okay, so everybody just look at it. And it's very simple. It's count the F's. Okay, so I'll give you all a couple minutes or a couple seconds to do this. Everybody only counts 3. There are realistically 6. Dr. Bryan, if you go back, we can't see the process of OF, OF, OF. All right? It's there, but you didn't see it. Okay? So this is what I'm asking you all to do tonight. Clear the slate on what you think health is. Allow me to introduce another aspect of health to you, and then we'll take it from there. So, first part of health, okay, very important, is, as Dr. Bryan was talking about, eating well. Okay? And you all heard the saying, you are what you eat. You also heard the saying, if you put garbage in, guess what? You get garbage out. So I'm asking you all to look at your diets. Are you eating a lot of processed foods? If you are, please start incorporating as much fresh fruit and vegetables into your diet as you can right now. I know this isn't really the time of the year, but the fresh fruits are there. You just got to go looking for them. All right? Try and stay away from the process. Another thing, how much fluid are you bringing into your body on a daily basis? Believe it or not, you're supposed to be drinking anywhere from 48 to 64 ounces of fluid a day. And I know there's a lot of designer fluids on the market, but believe it or not, the best thing you can put into your body is plain old H2O. And does anybody in here take supplements, vitamins, minerals? Yes? Yes? Okay. Do you guys realize they're food? And did you know that they're absorbed the best in the presence of other foods? So please take your vitamins at your most filling meal, one that doesn't incorporate any alcohol, nicotine, or caffeine, because they will decrease their absorption. Okay? And a hard roll and butter is not a filling meal. Okay? The second aspect of health, and I use a little prop for this. On your own, I just want you to describe the contents of the jar. All right? I'm trying to see if you're an optimist or you're a pessimist. Is that glass half full or half empty? I think it's overflowing, but that's me. Okay? But the one thing we have found here in this office is the patients that come in here with a good attitude, they tend to get better quicker and stay better longer than the patients that come here with a bad attitude. And I have a simple test for you all to try tomorrow when you first wake up. Okay? I want you to, before you open your eyes and greet the day, I want you to say something positive, like today is going to be a great day, and mean it. And then what I want you to do is dwell on something that makes you feel good deep down inside. And tell me at the end of your day, you didn't find more things happening for you than to you. Right? Now, the other important aspect of health is exercising, moving. Physiologists say if you don't use it, you lose it. Okay? So I'm asking you all to look at your activities. How do you move? Okay? I'll give you two huge examples of non-movement. Did you ever see what happens to an arm or a leg after it's been broken and put in a cast for 6 to 8 weeks? And when it comes out of that cast, what does it look like? It's small. Yeah, it's scary. Okay? And why? Because it hasn't been used. They call that disuse atrophy. All right? I hope nobody ever comes into this office in that way. But we understand the importance of exercise to be a complement to the care we provide here. So as you go through care here, we are going to prescribe an exercise program from each individual one here in the office. The first part of the exercise program is we're going to look at flexibility. We want you to do some type of stretching type exercises because we're going to try and move your spine into a certain position. All right? Once we get that spine in that certain position, we are going to encourage you to do something to strengthen your body so it holds that position. Right? Most importantly, during that whole time, from the beginning to the end, we're going to ask you to do some type of an aerobic activity, which means that we're going to ask you to do some activity that's going to increase your heart rate to a certain level for a certain period of time. Because what we have found is patients that are aerobically fit are metabolically fit. Okay? And when you're metabolically fit, believe it or not, you tend to heal quicker. That's why an athlete heals faster than somebody that's sedentary. Okay? So, I have a question, okay, for each one of you. Dr. Bryan brought up a very important fact in the beginning of his talk. Does anybody remember that important fact? He actually said it twice.
90% of patients that come into a chiropractor's office will have improvement in some other aspect of their health that they thought was unrelated to the condition they first came in for.
Why? Why would we make a statement like that? All right? To understand that statement, I actually have to give you a quick anatomy lesson. And I'm going to go right back to the beginning of birth. All right? When the sperm fertilized the egg, we had one complete cell and life began. First thing that cell started to do was it divided. And divided, divide, divide. By the 18th day after conception, one of the first systems of the body started to form. Does anybody want to try and take a guess what system that was? Nervous system. Okay? Why the nervous system? Why not the digestive system? Why not the urinary system? Why not the cardiovascular system? Why was it the nervous system the first one to be made? Quick question?
That's the most critical, I would imagine.
Bingo. Okay? You need one system, okay, to watch the creation and the forming and the coordinating of all the other systems in the body. Okay? That's how important the nervous system is to the body. Now, the nervous system is made up of 3 parts. The most important part is your brain. Okay, that's where all the information is processed in your body. But because it's so important, it happens to be very delicate and fragile, so it's encased in a vault of bone called the skull. The second part to the nervous system is the spinal cord. Okay? It's kind of a conduit or a distribution center between the brain and the body. All right? I hate to say it, it's fragile, it's delicate, and it's encased in bone too, but a different type of bone. It's encased in segmented bone with a patterned disc in between each segment. And the reason why it's segmented is so we can move. Okay? Third part to the nervous system is the spinal nerves that exit the spine at each segmented level. Now these nerves will go out to every single cell, tissue, organ system in the body. There's not one part of the body that does not receive nerve innervation. I can't stress that enough. It's such an intrinsic type network that if you were to strip all the other systems away from your body, there would be a perfect likeness of each one of us via our nervous system. Okay? So after hearing this, you have to agree with me that the function of the nervous system is to control and coordinate all the other functions of the body. For the nervous system to do this, residing inside of the nervous system is an inborn or innate intelligence that tells the body what to do, where to do, how to do, when to do, why to do things. Okay? Examples of this innate intelligence is in the past 24 hours, you took in about 23,000 breaths. Your heart beat close to 100,000 times. The food you ate yesterday was actually converted into energy for you today. This was all done through your nervous system, and this was all done automatically without you putting any type of thought into this process at all. Okay? This inborn innate intelligence also allows us to be self-healing and self-regulating individuals. Self-healing meaning that if I was to cut my hand, it's my nervous system that sees that there's a cut, and it's my nervous system that initiates the process of healing the cut, not the Band-Aid that you put on top of it. If I was to break my arm or my leg, okay, it's my nervous system that sees that there's a fracture, and it's my nervous system that starts the mending of the bone, not the cast that's put in place. Okay? There's a direct correlation between your nervous system and your immune system. All right? If your nervous system is functioning at a high level, all right, guess what? Your immune system functions at a high level, and you don't get sick. If your nervous system is stressed, guess what? Your nervous system, your immune system never responds like it should. Now, that innate intelligence also allows us to be self-regulating. Self-regulating is so important because it allows us to adapt to our environment, meaning like any type of internal or external stress is being put on the body is handled through the nervous system. An example of an internal stress, Robert, if you were to go out for a run, what would your heart rate start to do? Hopefully it would go up, okay? An external stress would be climate, all right? Meaning that if I took us all outside when it was warm before, with all our jackets on, what will we start to do? We should start to sweat, okay, to regulate our core temperature. Or if I took us outside and it was cold outside with just T-shirts on, we would all start to shiver. Here again, temperature regulation is handled through your nervous system. So, what does this all mean? Okay, very simple. Now I'm going to kind of get into the real philosophy of what chiropractic is all about. If the nervous system is functioning well, that means that impulses that originate in your brain, pass down your spinal cord and come out the spinal nerves, okay, and will go out to every single cell, tissue, organ system in your body, all right? If there is no interference with this action, guess what? You are going to be healthy. But what if there is some type of interference or interruption with that process? What could happen? That's where I'm going to go right now, all right? Believe it or not, 90% of all interference to the nervous system happens at the spine. What happens is the bone can come out of its proper place and pinch a nerve. When that occurs, the information that that nerve carries going out to a particular area is going to be diminished or in severe cases totally cut off. Okay? The biggest problem here is that sometimes when that bone goes out of place, there's no pain that's associated with that bone moving. But the biggest problem is if that bone doesn't come back into place and free up that nerve. Okay? Now I have another little prop that I use to kind of describe nerve flow. And it's simple. All it is a light attached to a wire going to an outlet. If there's no interference to that electricity going to that light shines bright. But what if there's some type of interference to that electricity, like this dimmer switch? That light will never shine bright. Well, it's the same thing in your body. If the nervous system is functioning correctly and there's no impingement to the flow of information going to and from an organ, guess what? That organ functions at its peak. Okay? If there's some type of interference with that nerve flow, that organ will never function at its peak. Hence, it's not going to be healthy. In chiropractic, we know that one of the many causes of the disease happens when a bone comes out of its proper place and pinches a nerve. Hence, the information coming down that nerve is diminished or in severe cases totally cut off. And this can cause disease, pain, or different type of health ailments. And we actually have a term for that. And we call it a subluxation. Here is a subluxation. okay? This is our subluxation poster, where you can see two bones in their proper alignment with the nerve coming out that is healthy, and then we can see this one bone that's not in its proper alignment with where it's actually pinching a nerve, and you can see the difference of this nerve compared to this nerve. As you can see, this nerve here can't handle the same amount of information as this nerve here. All right, and I use an analogy here because I had a man from Verizon come in and explain that this here was Vios internet, whereas this was here dial-up internet. What am I trying to say here? If your body can communicate with itself via the nervous system, and there's no interference, you will be healthy. It's that simple. If your body is riddled with interference to the nervous system via subluxations, your body can never reach its health potential. Okay? It is the job of a chiropractor to find subluxations, to see if there is nerve interference in your body, and by adjusting, manipulating the spine, putting it back into place, take the pressure off that nerve so that information that's running down that nerve, okay, can do what it's supposed to do, feed the area that it's supposed to go. All right? Here again, in a lot of people, we don't look at your symptoms. We want to find the cause of your problem, and by correcting the cause, allow the body, through its ability, to heal itself. Make sense? Okay? Now, I'm going to give it up to Dr. Wallace.
Two of the most important things I encourage everyone to remember. Your nervous system controls and coordinates everything, okay? Gray's Anatomy, open it up to the second page, the third paragraph. Your nervous system controls and coordinates everything. Aren't you glad you don't have to think about what's going on in your body every day? That you don't have to think about, is my heart beating, okay? Am I digesting my food? We're a miracle. There's no human being is ever gonna really figure out exactly how the human body works. And for most of us, it works extremely well. But your nervous system controls it all. So if there's an interference with in the nervous system, there's going to be a problem. And equally important, our patients need to understand that truly 90% of patients that see a chiropractor have improvement in another aspect of their health. It used to be in this office, and when I was early in practice, that literally 100% of our patients will come in with musculoskeletal complaints. That's what chiropractic is familiar and known for and a very efficient at. We now have about 60% of our patients that come here for musculoskeletal problems. We have another 25% that come here for digestive problems. And we have another 15% that come here for wellness or chronic sinus, allergy, asthma, breathing issues. Now, how does chiropractic help that? I mean, most people never even get to understand or hear the message that we're sharing with you tonight. But this is my 33rd year of practice. I have missed 1.5 days because I was sick. I never get sick. I don't care who coughs or who sneezes on me or who, we touch people all day long. I honestly never feel sick. I got here at 5:20 this morning. It's almost 7 o'clock tonight. I have just about the same energy I started my day with, and I never really am concerned that I am going to have a serious health problem. Yes, I eat well, I exercise, I can still run 15 miles a week. I do all the things that we encourage you to do. I believe I set the example in this office. We pride ourselves on saying we will never ask a patient to do what we're not willing to do ourselves, truly. Okay, so the example and the encouragement that we ask of our patients that come in here are exactly what we follow. We eat right, we exercise, we are adjusted because our nervous systems, we know how important that is, how vitally important it is for you to stay healthy, not just temporarily, but long term. The reason we do this is because you won't read it in the cover of Time magazine, okay? And we are really not anti-medicine, but the pharmaceutical industry controls healthcare in this country. There's no doubt about it. About 15 years ago, we had a patient come in here who had some back issues. Her history was that 6 or 8 months before, she had bent over to make the bed one day, and it was like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that, okay? Back pain. You've all heard that story. And it didn't go away. She went to a medical doctor. She got a couple prescriptions, and within 10 days or so, pain was gone, symptom gone. Then, few months go by, she's tying a shoe. Oh, same thing. By the next morning, it wasn't just low back pain, it was a little radiation of pain into the leg. You know, that sciatic pain that so many people get. Back on the prescriptions, this time, though the symptoms improved, they didn't quite go away. And her medical doctor referred her for physical therapy. 6 weeks of physical therapy, some stretching, some exercises, and again, symptoms resolved. So a few months go by and she's feeling fine. You kind of forget about the exercises and she's going to go on vacation. So 2 weeks before, she reaches up into her closet to get her suitcase out and, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. And now it wasn't just low back pain and a little sciatic pain, it was pain all the way down her leg. But when you're going on vacation, you get to be desperate as to, okay, how do we resolve this as quickly as possible? I'm going to go away. I'm not going to, I need to enjoy this. So her doctor referred her here. She came in, we did our evaluation, and we explained to her, here's what is wrong, and here's what you need to do to correct it. Not just symptomatically correct it, but really correct the problem so that you don't have increasing disability as time goes on, which is exactly what happens, okay? Once a problem begins, unless you can structurally correct the problem, structurally correct the subluxation, the problem will get progressively worse over time. So we said we would do our best to get her symptomatically okay before her trip, but when she returned, please come back, let us complete the correction so that we really resolve the problem permanently. Well, she did great. She did exactly what we encouraged her to do. Within 2 weeks, she was asymptomatic. She went on the trip. She came back in. And it was probably 6 or 8 weeks into care. She walked in one day, and our receptionist was Lisa at the time. And she walked over to Lisa and said, Lisa, I feel so great. I mean, I haven't felt this good in years. And Lisa says, great, great. Tell me, our bubbly receptionist. So she said, well, my back pain's gone. My leg pain is gone. And I quote, and the laxatives that I've been taking for the last 10 years are finally starting to work. So Lisa was like, I think you better talk to the doctors about that. So I happened, she was in a room. I happened to walk in, and she went through this same scenario. And I said, really? So I grabbed her history form, and it said, do you have any other complaints? Primary complaint, secondary complaint, anything else? No. Her primary complaint was low back pain. Secondary was leg pain. Everything else was perfect. So I said, well, do you really think that a prescription laxative that you've been taking for 10 years have finally, you have enough of it in you now that it's kicking in and it's going to be working all the time? And she's like, well, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but that's the only thing I can say is that I'm feeling so much better. I said, exactly right. The same nerves that were causing the back pain and the leg pain influence your elimination and influence your large intestine. So when you take pressure off of them and things start to come back to life, guess what? You don't need the laxatives anymore. And that is an absolute true story. A story that most people don't get to hear, and a story that most people don't even get to, correlate between what chiropractic can do for a patient that has subluxations, okay? And I promise you, children develop subluxation. Actually, infants develop subluxations. Children develop subluxations. Teenagers, adults, we start by age 25. I always think that our reckless abandonment age is kind of behind us. But the physical activities that we do, the emotional traumas that we all experience on occasion, the slip, the fall, the stumble, whatever it might be, they accumulate over time. And people are healthier under chiropractic care. The latest research study that was published by a Harvard researcher a month ago, maybe it was 6 weeks ago now, did a 20-year study showing that patients under chiropractic care have a 68% reduction in their annual health care costs. 68%. No one will be having a health crisis, an insurance crisis, the need for national health care, if people really said, we can take better care of ourselves. We can do this, we can do that, and including chiropractic in a routine basis as their, during their health care costs in a year is enormously cost effective over time. So we ask you to be chiropractic advocates. All right? Everyone in this room knows someone who is not as healthy as they could be. doesn't even know why they're not feeling well, doesn't even know what's going on and why they have to be taking medication for symptomatic relief and can't get any answers. If they have not included chiropractic in their healthcare regime, they really need to. You need to refer people to chiropractors if they haven't heard this story before, okay? It's not a story. We see it every single day in this office. There are people that come in here that think what happened was an absolute miracle. And we know that it's just part of what we do. We love, all three of us love what we do. I never feel like I ever come to work. So we ask you to share this story. If you have any healthcare questions about anything that's going on in your lives that you haven't shared with us, please do. Because structure affects function, and once your function starts to go, too often people turn and see what can be the quick fix. And if chiropractic is not part of that, you're not maximizing your potential to live to 100, okay? They're estimating that right now, children born today could actually live to 150. And more of us are going to be living to age 100. So we might as well take care of ourselves from now forever. So I want you to look at this, okay? See, these are some of the things that chiropractors take care of, okay? Asthma, allergies, heartburn, constipation, I mean, reflux. I mean, how many people do you know complain that they have reflux issues, okay? Just look through those things. We are not a panacea. We are not going to cure everything. I don't pretend to do that at all. If you have a heart attack, I want you at the emergency room or at a hospital. I don't want you in here at all. But if you're treating a condition with medication only for symptomatic relief, you really need to explore what chiropractic can offer you. So our mission statement, I'm going to close with this because we promised you to be a half an hour. To provide first-class chiropractic care that includes a wellness lifestyle plan to inspire and improve our patients' long-term quality of life. It's not just about how can I feel better. We're very good at that. We'll do that as quickly as possible. But understanding the benefits of correcting the problem and maintaining that for the rest of your life. So please, any questions anytime except tonight, we're done. I really appreciate you all for listening to us and share the message.